This conference will now be recorded.
I hope is it
You can
it
go
is
ahead.
visible.
Yeah, yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So welcome everyone to this SAP PAPM demo presentation. So in today's session, I will just walk you through what is SAP PAPM, what are the capabilities that this particular tool is having, and why uh, this is the need for the upcoming future for allocations and profitability management. So this will so in this session I'll just keep it simple about some basic overview, not taking you to the system and showing some configurations rather than just an introduction and the capability of the software. So so the prior offering from SAP was SAP FS per, so it is related to the financial services industry, uh, for profitability management. So suppose there is a banking or insurance sector, and they want to, so it's a quite advanced tool from FS per. So FS per was initially for profitability analysis relating to only for the financial service sector, which includes banking, insurance, and things like that. But when the same solution was copied and modified and altered, and the industry, other industry also keep on using the same solution. Suppose airline industry and power industries and things like that. So when they have started using the same solution, so SAP had come up with this new innovative tool called SAP PAPM. So so PAPM can handle a large volume of a data set without storing the data into a particular storage area like other solutions do have, like BW or SS. So it's a provide us a virtual, you can say virtual info provider type of area wherein the only the calculation happens and you can write back the data to your original source system. And it's a quite flexible tool. I can extract my data to PAPM from S4HANA, from Oracle. It supports different landscape from BW and from even my data sphere and my SSE. So, so it's a quite plug and play type of tool wherein you can extract your data from any of the data sources. We'll go through the detailed slide later. So, so SAP, if I will talk about the PAPM introduction, so the original version was FS. Before that, there is also another SAP module called COPA. SAP PAPM is nothing but the mixture of both of them. Okay. Okay. So here you can see it's nothing but the solution that enables the organization to analyze and optimize their profitability and performance. Okay. It's provide a comprehensive tool of manage data, generate report, and perform your analysis. So you can manage your data. Suppose I am extracting my data from BW for HANA system, and I want to see so my actual data from BW for HANA system, and in a and I also want to do some simulation with my budgeted data in the PAPM system. So I can extract also the parallel budgeted data from my SSE system. I can do the simulation or what if analysis in PAPM. Okay, and the next point says that yeah, am I audible? Hello. Okay, so the next point, so you can extract your data from financial system, sales system. I can extract my data from uh, my uh, FICO module. I can extract the data from SD. I can extract the data from my PM, PS, and it is compatible with all of the SAP modules, some modules. Okay. I can also do HR planning and simulations here. I can link it to my SAP success factor. I can integrate the PAPM. I can fetch the budgeted data from SAP success factor. So if I have done some succession planning in my SAP success factor, I want to know the future corresponding liability of my existing manpower, that how much I have to pay after, let's say, certain period of point of time after 10 years, how much, if I will so at if at present my total number of headcount in my organization is, let's say, maybe 100,000, and if I am planning in the next 10 years it will be twice of the number of headcounts, then how much my profitability will be impacted by that if my company is going at a CAGR of maybe 15%. So these things we can do through SAP PAPM. Okay, so these are a couple of benefits. So the first one will be obviously it will help you to improve your cost structure and financial performance, because you can do uh, so as so through SAP PAPM you can drill down until the last level solution. If I'm a FMCG company, I want to do simulation for my. I can do simulation for product wise, geography wise, customer wise, and even region wise. Um, um, uh, if I'm a FMCG company, let's say per se HUL or uh, Nestle, I want to see the cost structure of a particular product for a particular region and for a customer group of people. Let's say there is a product called Surf Excel or uh, maybe Maggie. I want to see that this particular product is how much contribution this product is doing to my overall product portfolio for a particular region even, and for a particular group of customers. Let's say for a uh, customer whose age is between 25 to 40%, so I can take rational decision in relation to my advertisement and in relation to how should I focus for the target audience. Okay, and if I'll come to the next point, so it will help you for the decision making. If once you assess that this is going to be my profit, and so you can take a rational call, right? And if there is a product in my SKU total, if I am a FMCG company and in my SKU I know that these are some of the top contributors which are driving my profit of my organization, so I will focus more on the same, and I can take a rational call. If there is a product line which is not contributing in a particular geography, I can take a rational call and stop production of that. So I can also do the same. um, this is pretty the same thing. The financial performance and business will be identify problem areas and take appropriate action. So that this is what I was talking about. So you can take a rational call which product line and in which area. If particular product is not performing, let's say in Middle East, but the same product is performing in African regions, so I can uh, invest heavily on marketing and stuff like that in African region to boost the sales of that particular product, and I can maybe take a call to discontinue the product from the Middle Eastern regions. Okay, so so SAP PAPM will provide you a it's a single platform where you can do multiple financial and non-financial analysis at the same point of time. So I can do the financial analysis, as in my profitability analysis, my manpower simulation also I can do. If I link it to the success factor, if I'm extracting the data from my BW for HANA or S4 HANA, I can do the profitability analysis for financial profitability analysis, and I can also do the simulation for other stuff as well uh, through different cross modules. Okay, these are few of the challenges that PAPM is addressing. The airline profitability in this uh, analysis. So airlines industry operate in a very thin margin, right? It depends upon the Brent crude oil price, and your various other factors also come into play, the higher charges and things like that. So they this airlines industry, the financial services industry, they do use a lot of this solution mostly for their profitability analysis, because they if I'm an airline company, I want to know that for which region, because I can divert my flights, right? If I will be able to make revenue. Let's say my profitability will be 20% if I am flying from maybe if I am operating in the MENA region, and in my APAC region, if my profitability is less than 10%, so I will focus rather than the MENA regions rather than in the APAC region. It will help you with the carbon footprint reduction. I can plan it in. I can plan it accordingly. The telecom sector is one of the industries that use the PAPM solution most, and the FS, obviously the banking and the financial services industry. So the enterprise cost management, it will help you to track and analyze your revenue and your cost, right, based on the historical data, based on the trends, and based on the other factors. That how PAPM, uh, the PAPM will help you to forecast your cost and for the upcoming periods by analyzing the trend. If my company is growing at a maybe a CAGR of 12%, so it will help me to predict and take rational call. And if I need to invest in marketing, branding, and stuff like that, then I will be able to help to. It will help me to do that with the use of PAPM. Okay. So the next will be profitability and the performance management. So as we discussed, so it gives you can set your own profitability metrics in PAPM. You can so you can pull your data from different sources. You can do the gross margin, net margin, ROI calculations, and take profitable and identify the areas in which you will be able to extract the maximum amount of profit and take your business decision accordingly. Okay, so this one is also a most important one. Driver and model based strategic planning. So there will be some key drivers which will, if business can focus on them and do the strategic decision, then it will help us to reduce our cost. So in airlines industry, if my aircraft is staying on a hall or is lying idle in the airport. So it's a clear cut loss, because the loss of time for the airline industry is the loss of revenue. So through that, you can optimally use your aircraft, and you can save, uh, basically boost your profitability. So there are a couple of models we create in PAPM for that. Uh, this is again a flight carbon footprint. You can do the same. The transport data, you can feed your transport data to the uh, we create a model wherein you can feed your transport data and to calculate your carbon footprint, your transport lane, and your transport data, the kilometer traveled, the passenger mile traveled, and things like that. So calculate your carbon footprint. Then telecom industry is also a significant user of this tool, wherein the telecom company identify the customer wise, product wise, and services wise profitability. So it also help them to basically segregate the product line and the market segment according to uh, their channel of distributions. Airline industry also calculate their profitability through this one. So there are a couple of key factors they consider, like maybe the fuel cost or the labor cost and overhead. So based on that, they also do the allocations through PAPM, that I want to allocate this particular labor cost for this route, uh, and the fuel cost even, and the salaries, because a crew might be uh, so so if I am segregating my segregating my portfolio, right? So if I'm operating in three particular regions and the same crew is flying across the region, so I need to allocate his entire salary into the different geographies, right? So I can do the same through this particular tool. Okay. So how PAPM works? There are three components to PAPM. The first one will be obviously data aggregator. So the data aggregator can collect data from different sources. You can load through flat. So it's a quite a flexible tool. It, it can fetch your data from your S4HANA, BW for HANA, even your Oracle system also, and even through flat file. If you don't have any system, you can load the data through flat file, even do your simulations. Okay. So there is a calculation engine involved. So the calculation engine can process a large volume of data set uh, in the range of 2 TB. Uh, okay, and it do the and what calculation engine does, it does parallel processing. Okay, so it can save a huge amount of time with parallel processing. Okay, so usual if a data set is taking, let's say, 2 hours to complete a single allocation, so PAPM can do the same in maybe less than 2 minutes. Okay, and the simulation mean what if analysis. So it it gives you a real time insight uh, about the current situation and the impact of the possible future outcomes. So uh, uh, so now US has imposed a tariff, right? So if I'm a business whose exposure is also in US, right? I want to know that how my profitability will be hit if my tariff is, suppose I want to see I want to do a simulation at a 20%, at a 10%, at a 30%, and at a maybe 50%. So I can do through PAPM. Okay, it will give me a real time insight. If the tariff will be 30%, then how much my profitability is going to hit at a company level. I can tag the same. I can create a dimension and a model. I can tag my particular product lines to that model. So if in my SKU there are, if I'm a FMCG company, in my SKU there are 100 of products, out of which 40 are 40 probably most, let's say 40 products are exposed to exports, and I do the same. So the same product I do export to US, and on an average, if 30% or 40% is my uh, total revenue I make from exports. So if my tariff is today is, let's say, 5%, and tomorrow it will be 30-40%, whatever, I can do the same simulations through PAPM. So this is one of the business data aggregator. So business data aggregator basically do the aggregation. So you can say it's a virtual table which in through which you can store your data. You can fetch your data from different sources, maybe from Oracle or um, and Teradata database. Even you can extract your data from other data sets, like virtual data set databases like AWS or your Google Cloud or things like that. Even you as we spoke already, so you can fetch your data from SAP ERP, your S4 HANA, BW for HANA, your BPC system, your data sphere, and now they have also You can also fetch your data from BDC, the Business Data Cloud also. Okay. So now they have recently done those recent releases. They have fixed the same. You can aggregate your data from a different functions like web services, your custom program. If I have a custom program, um, I can fetch that data also in PAPM. You have my own set of databases. I can also I can also extract the data from my other apps like my I can also directly upload through a flat file. I can upload through an Excel even. So this is how the PAPM structure works. When you design the solution, you connect the data sources to databases, maybe on S4HANA and PAPM. PAPM can be PAPM on premise, and there is another PAPM, SAP PAPM cloud. So the cloud will store all the data. It will write back all the data to the PAPM cloud. Your whole data set will be in the cloud. And how the PAPM on premises works is it will store all your data into your physical repository, wherein maybe if you want, it can write back to your SAP BW, wherein if your SAP BW system is in your in-house, so it can write back to that also. So, so when we design that solution, we connect the data sources uh, through various views to SAP, maybe HANA or BW for HANA data sources. Okay. Then we create a model and we take the source data. So we pull the source data to that particular model. Okay. And from the model, we do step by step calculations, joins, allocations, and write back functions and derivations and things like that. Okay. So you don't need actually some deep technical knowledge in SQL or scripting and coding, things like that, to run PAPM. Any functional user can run PAPM, and so it's a standard solution given by SAP. You can say plug and play solution. You just have to configure your data, build up the models, uh, just copy the standard model, do the necessary changes to the standard model, uh, do the changes to your allocation steps, and then you can write back the data and use the solution as it is. So no need for any scripting or coding and things like that. Okay, so at the runtime, so there is a own activities step, okay, wherein the script will be automatically get triggered. You don't need to do that. Okay, man. It's a default SQL script given by SAP, so you don't need to do any changes to the script. You don't need to load any prior data, because it can run on the fly. If I am integrating my S4HANA system into PAPM, so it will directly and I can do the simulation on the live data itself, because SAP S4HANA is not like BW for HANA. It don't store the data other than it's a live system. I can do the simulation on my live data. Okay. As and when the transactions are getting posted in my live system, I can do the simulation on top of it. Yeah. And how you can display your results from PAPM. So the PAPM, you can display the results of your PAPM through SAP AFO. Um, Basically the analysis for Office tool. So analysis for Office and Excel add in to your for your reporting purpose. It's like in normal Excel only with some enhanced capabilities. Okay. you can write back once your simulations are done. You have performed your calculation, be it allocation, be it what if analysis, simulation and stuff like that. You can write back. If you want to store that data back into your system, you can do the same through a reporting layer. Okay, you can write back the same to I want to store my simulation. I can directly store it to my Bidol for HANA system, or I can directly write it back to my DataSphere also. Okay. So once you click on save, okay, yeah, store in my calculations. By default, the system will generate an entry, and the postings will happen at the GL level. So if I am doing a what if analysis, let's say if I am today I am sitting on 002 2025 period. I am doing an analysis for my end of the year at maybe at 31st December 2025. I am doing the simulation on for that date. I want to write it back at a different version, or maybe budgeted or forecasted version. I can write it back to my SAP Bidol for HANA system, and the entry will be automatically created by system, and it will post that entry in my system itself. I don't need to do in manual entry for that. So for the reporting, it consumes the memory from the current memory function, right? The BI to it. We do the reporting through the BI only, like the normal S4 HANA. How you build the S4 HANA query, the same way we do the reporting in SAP PaPM as well. So it when it stores the reports, it also generate a log file to trace the in traceability function, right? If I want to know that this particular data is coming from my Bidol for HANA system. This is the system generated entry, and this one is my end result, which is getting stored over there. So it also by default create a system log entry, and it will store in a separate table. Okay, these are few of the because of this PAPM overview. Uh, So the modeling environment is basically used by the business departments, right? So if I'm so it the cross business department can use the SAP PAPM like SAP, like the HR department can also use the same. The sales and marketing team can also use the same. The finance team also use the same for allocations. The cost and accounting team also use the same. Okay. So as the data is not getting stored in SAP PAPM, which significantly increase the speed in memory speed of the database through ad hoc simulations. For performing my complex allocations and simulation, it it gives a lot of speed to my calculation. As it write back the logs to a different table, so I can trace my data at any given point of time, because uh, the system will generate the log entry and it will store. So when I will walk you through the system, I can show you that particular table wherein it stores the data, right? The log file, and how you can extract the same. Like in BPC, there is a audit log table, right? Wherein you see whatever the changes are done to the solution. If I'm given at any given point of time, I'm running the consolidation steps, I'm running the any allocation and stuff like that. The system will generate an entry and generate a log entry, and it will post in the that particular table. So it's the same way PAPM is also configured, wherein it stores the log entry for the traceability purpose. Okay, so these are the process flows of SAP PAPM. it will. So the first step is integrate your data sources. uh, you have to integrate your whole data set. You can also integrate multiple data sources into the SAP PAPM. So from SAP S4HANA, I can integrate the SAP SSC also into PAPM. If I am doing a variance analysis, right? I want to check the variance analysis at a group level or at a product level. I can capture the product data from my S4 HANA system. I can integrate a part of that in from my S4 HANA. I am pulling the actual information from that, and in corresponding, I can pull my budgeted numbers from SAP SAC system, because SAC is nothing but which is for budgeting, forecasting, and stuff like that. I can pull my budgeted data from SAC. I can compare both of them, and I can do the simulation also in PAPM, right? So this integrate data source means how I am integrating my data source to PAPM. As for HANA, BW for HANA, I am identifying my source system, then collect the data. Once you integrated your source system, then you have to collect the data that from, because in S4 HANA system there are a couple of tables, right? There is a so the primary table for finance related stuff is ACDOCA, ACDOCA. So we collect the data from AC Doka table. Then we have to individually, because in AC Doka there are more than 300 plus columns or headers. You have to pick in that this for this particular header I want to collect the data, right? We are not collecting the data, because if I will collect the data for the entire AC Doka table, it will be 300 plus headers, right? So I don't need so much of information, right, for a simulation. Maybe if I'm doing a variance analysis, I need the profit center, I need the cost center, I need the company code, the GL, and the amount. That's it, and the fiscal period. And from the be it from your group reporting system or your SSC system, you are also collecting the same information, because SSC can also store a lot of data, right? You don't need so much of information. You can collect, you can select your particular query level also. If I build a custom query, I can integrate the same uh, into my PAPM. I can fetch the information through that query, and then I can do my simulation or what if analysis on the top of it. Then enrich data. If there is if there are two columns involved, let's say I want to um there are two separate columns, let's say fiscal year and fiscal year period. I want to combine or do any on the fly calculation while the data is getting loaded into the PAPM system. I want to combine both of them. My fiscal year period maybe 12 and my fiscal year is 2025. I want to combine both of them, so I can do a concatenate function while the data is getting loaded into the system. It will combine both of them, and uh, then your data will be there in PAPM in the combined form rather than in the individual form. Okay. Then create your cost drivers. Okay, so here we define that the data set on which we want to do our allocations, or because if I have loaded the data, if I'm doing a simulation at a geography level or a product level, right, then I have to select my cost driver, that on top of which I want to do the simulation. Maybe I can select the cost driver as a product, right? So I want to do a simulation or what if analysis on a product level or a geography level, or a combination of multiple is also possible. I can do a simulation on a particular geography level for a particular group of product and for a particular group of customers as well. So that kind of simulation is also possible in PAPM, but that is not possible in any other solution like SSC. If you are doing a allocation or simulation in SSC, so that kind of detailing is not possible in SSC. Then the next one will be allocation rule. To configure your allocation rule, so there are a couple of standard allocation rules SAP has given. Okay, and we can customize the same. We just need to copy the same rule, um, like the base. So in most of the EPM. So these all solutions are called EPM solutions. SAP group reporting. So BPC has been replaced by, so BPC was the only solution till 2020, 2021, wherein all your consolidation activity along with your planning, budgeting, forecasting, and allocation stuff like that was being handled by BPC. And when the BPC, but it's not so much compatible with S4HANA, right? So SAP has to come up with a innovative solution, and they have proposed three solutions in the replacement of BPC, which is SAP group reporting. We call the whole space as EPM, Enterprise Performance Management, wherein your BPC was the only tool which was replaced by group reporting for your group consolidation. If you want to go ahead with consolidation, then group reporting is the tool. Legal and management consolidations. Then SSE is for your planning, budgeting, forecasting, and stuff like that. And the PAPM is mostly for calculations, profitability analysis, and simulations and stuff like that. Okay? Because my SSE is where I present my data, right? I cannot do complex allocations in SSE because that tool is not meant to be for allocations. Okay? So there is a separate solution which is the need of the hour, and SAP has introduced this PAP. Okay, create a allocation rule in where you will copy the standard rule. You can configure your own business rule as per which you want to see your allocation to happen. And it's not like that in BPC we used to if anyone of you have been worked in BPC, then there is a concept of logic scripts, right? Through scripting, you have to literally do the scripting for writing allocation, but it's not in PAPM. That is not required. So you will see once we walk through the system, then I will show you how the allocation rule is being done in system itself. So there will be so all your dimensions will be there, okay, and correspondingly you can just drag and drop your dimensions and write your own formulas like an Excel. Right? If I am writing a formula in Excel, I can just select a cell and then divide, then multiply, and it's it's just easy to use, right? And the PAPM is also act like the same. You can select your dimension, plus, minus, divide, whatever the rule you want to define, you can define the same and just click on save. That's it. Your rule is done. Okay? Then you have to create your allocation rule and you define your reports. And I want to see my report in basically this is there are a couple of templates SAP has given. So you can use the template or you can create your own custom template also for reports. Okay, how you want the output of your report to be. Then the next step is the execution of allocations. Once your data is loaded into the system, you have defined your reports. Then the next step is execution. Once you click on, basically there is a radio type button we create in the model, wherein the business has to go and the user has to go and click on that execution button. The in a fraction of second, the whole allocation will happen, and you can see your total number. If there is a indirect overhead or a direct overhead sitting on my P&L, the same will be allocated on the basis of the criteria that I have set in my allocation rules. Okay. And the final step would be analyze your report. Okay. So this was one of the maybe example. If I am a automobile manufacturing company, okay, so I can. So these are a couple of things I can do through PAPM. Uh, these are maybe some of the challenges that automobile company will be facing, and through PAPM they will be able to resolve that. How can we reduce our cost and increase our revenue? Right? These are some of the strategic decisions. Right? How you can reduce your cost? Once you track that these are the particular areas wherein, first of all, is to track the areas wherein, so we call it ABC analysis, right? So ABC analysis means there are 80% of the items only is very less number of products in an automobile industry there which is contributing to 80% of my total product cost. Let's say suppose the engine, right? Engine of the uh, automobile is where the maximum cost is going through, right? And because if my bike is a 50,000 box bike, then the engine is only of 30,000 rupees. So almost 60-70% of my cost is going on the engine, right? So I can take a rational call and I can streamline my processes. Then how I can maximize my revenue and reduce my cost through this particular model. You can then the next one is uh, I can yeah. So this one I have already spoken about. You can track uh, which product line are the most profitably inefficient and which are some of the few products which are outstanding and super duper profitable. If I'm a FMCG company, I can take a call accordingly, right? Whether I need to drop off from this market or whether should I invest more on marketing and branding for this product to be efficient. If I can identify a product which is inefficient, causing a, which is not contributing to my gross margin, rather incurring some losses in a particular region, I can take a strategic call and discontinue that product maybe from that particular region. The next question that PAPM can address is how my profit will be impacted if my material cost rise. Right? This one we have already spoken about. That if my raw material cost uh, or my material costs are increasing, then how my profitability will be hit. We can do through what if analysis. If my raw material, if I'm doing a if I'm doing a budgeting on PAPM, a simulation, I can do a simulation on top of it. Uh, Simulation means what if analysis. I am projecting my revenue will be increased by 20%. Okay, and my material cost will be increased by 15% next year. So how much my profitability is going to hit by that? If instead of 12%, if my material cost is getting increased by 16%, then what will be the effect of profit on that? Right? So these things you can do through PAPM. Okay. So this one is I already spoken about the information function processing structure. I can show the same in the system itself, so it will be easy to understand. Okay, so this one is the information. So yeah, so on information function there are a couple of sub areas you can say, wherein there are basically 5 6 types of information through which you feed the information. This is not the information function means how you pull the data to your PAPM system. It will be model system, model view, model BW, file adapter, and model join. So what model table means is so your how you are pulling your data from SAP S4HANA or SAP HANA or any external system from a physical table. So if there is a yeah, if I'm pulling data from ECC system, there is a physical table, maybe uh, let's say BSEC, okay, or BKPF or LFA1. If it's a physical table, then how I am pulling that data? So that will be called as model table. It's a standard naming convention SAP PAPM has given. If you are calling it from a virtual table, okay, then it's called as model view rather than model table. We call it model view. Okay. If you are extracting your data from your BW system, then you call it a model BW source. If similarly, if you are extracting your data from any external source file, you call it model file adapter. And if you are combining one or more than one table to bring your data to SAP PAPM, so if I'm if I want to ex- pull the information from my BSEG, wherein my GL level details are getting stored, and plus LFA1, wherein so there is a table called LFA1 for storing the vendor information, my vendor master data. So if I want to do a simulation on my vendor and customer data also, I can pull the same. I can use a model join function, wherein I can join the BSEC table data with the LFA1 data. I can pull the information from two or more tables. Okay. So the next function will be the processing function. So this one is the information function. There will be the another one will be processing. So this is what the whatever we have studied in this hierarchy. So these things will be coming as a different functions. Okay. The processing functions are these many stages. First one will be your calculation. Calculation in calculation function uh, we configure we copy the existing calculation function that is given by SAP. So if SAP has given a so some standard calculation engines like gross margin calculation, net margin calculation, ROI calculation. So those are being given by SAP as a standard. So we can copy the same if you want to see your uh, inventory turnover ratio. So you can copy a existing ratio and you can set your own parameter and configure your own calculation functions. Okay. You can configure derivation functions also through derivation function based on one or more than one set parameter. You can define the value of another table or another calculation. So Uh, so how does that works is if my gross margin, so I can configure a calculation from my gross margin, and I can set a derivation function that from my gross margin that derivation will happen from my net margin divided by sorry my if my gross margin is 100 and my indirect cost is 40, I can set a derivation function that to subtract between the two, and it will divide with the sales number and you will get the net margin derivation. Okay. So the join function is used to merge two or more tables that I was talking about. You can extract the data from two or more tables through a virtual provider, or in BW we call it in composite provider, here we call it a join. The transfer structure basically help you to do your pivot on pivot. Whatever calculation I have done in PAPM or simulation I have done in PAPM, if I want to present it in a pivot table format, then I can do the same through pivot and on pivot table option. So there are two standard options given by PAPM on its dashboard itself for creating a pivot table or creation of charts. Then the next one is selection and filtering aggregating option. This is view function. So you can select uh, your dimension members individually, and you can select more than one dimension member as well, and you can also filter. Maybe the filtering can be happen on the basis of region, on the basis of product, on the basis of sales and volume and things like that. Okay. And then some other processing functions, maybe allocation is basically to allocate transferring some key figure to sender to receiver. uh, if there is a indirect cost which is lying at a company level, I want to allocate the same to the individual product level, I can do the same through allocation function. Then there are some conditional function also based on predefined conditions set by the user. uh, that condition function will work. Similarly, the currency conversion and valuation, those functions also works because this solution is also used by financial services industry originally, and most of the banks also use this PAPM solution. So this valuation functions helps us to do the statistical analysis, maybe dispersion analysis, right? NPV and IRR calculation through on the fly IRR calculation. If I want to see my impact on my IRR, if my net cash flows are, let's say my net cash flows will increase by 10%, okay, next year, then I want to check the IRR, that how much my IRR will be getting impacted. So those functions you can do through your valuation functions, okay. So this one is a file and write and adapter function is basically how you want to write back your data. Once you have done your simulation, your calculation or your allocations, how you want to store your calculated data in the system. This can be through a file adapter, means you can just directly export and save it as locally, maybe in a Excel format, okay. You can use a remote function adapter, like if you want to store it directly on your Google Cloud or AWS server, you can set the path, uh, like we store in our own personal computer, we set the path that this is the target folder wherein the data, uh, the calculated data needs to be stored. So you can also configure the same, it will directly store that data on your server system. I can also call a writer function over here, wherein I can say, I can, if I am writing back to my BW for HANA system, I can create a ADSO or a DSO, okay, and I can in my target data set, I can maintain that particular DSO and ADSO path, and that particular calculation will be getting stored in that particular ADSO. Once that, every time you run the calculation, save it in BW system, then those calculations will remain stored in that ADSO, that whatever you have mentioned. Then the structuring function is basically of calculation unit structuring function and your description. So these are not so much input. Yeah. So the query function will help you to do your own planning on the fly. It will be input enabled query. So wherein you can just see like a normal spreadsheet type sheet wherein you can input your own numbers, and you can do your planning on the fly. You can store your results in the form of charts, in the form of tables, in the form of histograms, and for your own analysis. And some of the analytics function also, now SAP is releasing some solutions related to ML, and they are working on integrating the PaPM with machine learning, okay, uh, which will help you to only to predict your data set, your calculation based on a Gen AI, based on a model that so there is a SAP Joule, right? SAP AI Joule is a new tool that SAP is offering, which is integrated, built on its own LLM platform. Okay, so you can integrate those also uh, for your regression testing, your time series testing, and your forecasting scenarios. Yeah. So this is all about SAP PAPM overview session. So uh, if anyone having any doubt, you can just feel free. Okay, so I'll give a brief that whatever we have discussed in this session. Maybe then we can wrap up the session. So when SAP PAPM in 2015 SAP, there is a model which was introduced by SAP called SAP FS okay, for planning, controlling, forecasting, and predictive analysis, and risk models and the stuff like that. Okay, and those that particular solution was being by cross industries, right? So that was particularly designed for financial services sector. Okay? But when SAP noticed that that particular solution was being used by other industries such as electronic industries, electronic manufacturing industries, and airlines industry, then they have come up with this solution called SAP PAPM. So SAP PAPM is a tool which doesn't s- store its data. Right? It's not uh, it's only a calculation engine. It doesn't store any data. It doesn't have any tables like unlike other solutions like SAP BW or SAP S4HANA. Rather, it it only acts as a calculation engine, wherein you can fetch your data from SAP system, from non-SAP systems, from SAP DataSphere, SAP BW for HANA, your Oracle. You can even load data through Java, Python, Google Cloud, AWS, CSV, your Excel file, whatever. SAP PAPM will help you to build a calculation engine for what if analysis, simulations, through different scenarios. You can change your assumptions. It will help you. The most important one of the most important tool is drill down in SAP PAPM. You can drill down till the last node in SAP PAPM to trace if I am doing a simulation analysis earlier. Suppose my material cost was 15%. I'm a manufacturing company. Now I am doing a simulation analysis and I see that my material cost has gone up to 20%, and how my profit is being impacted for that. So I can go till the last level and check that what are the reasons which is basically causing my impact to the gross profit, okay, through drill down function. So it's a standard function by SAP PAPM. And there is another function called auditability. So the key features of SAP PAPM, whatever we have discussed, is speed, then its custom use cases, and it's integrated. Okay, it is integrated and quite flexible with any of the tools like SAP, be it SAP or non-SAP. It has two engines, calculation engine and a workflow engine. Okay. The calculation engine will help you to do your uh, own simulation, own what if analysis, and through workflow engine you can also. So there was a feature in SAP BPC for workflow. Uh, we call it work status, wherein you can fix that this person need to. So if I am a budgeting, forecasting, and F and A guy, then we can create a particular role and we can assign that role that that guy will have a task related to budgeting and forecasting, and he will get a reminder at the end of every month that I have to do this particular task on this by this date. Right? So the similarly workflow configuration we can set up in SAP PAPM as well. Uh, so so SAP PAPM has another advantage of agility, flexibility, speed. The most important feature is speed, because when we handle, so when we are taking a subscription of altogether a separate tool only to do our simulations, only for doing our profitability analysis. Right? So the speed is the key, right? Otherwise, we could have done the same through SAC. SAP PAPM usually process the transaction at a 20 to 40x of the normal speed. So wherein the SSC will take a 40 minutes for a particular allocation, the PAPM can execute the same maybe in a minute or less than 2 minutes. So you don't need to be a technical person to use SAP PAPM. Uh, you don't need actually to do some custom coding because there are some standard allocation templates SAP has given. You can just drag and drop your required dimension and models and use the same templates. So it will help us to avoid the custom coding. It will help us to avoid the custom development cost. Typically, SAP PAPM implementation took uh, less than 5 months. Okay, and in case of a particular airline industry, we have observed that the runtime for a particular allocation has reduced from 40 hours to 1 hour. Okay, through the SAP PAPM. SAP PAPM industry use cases I have already talked about the same profitability and cost management, your global transfer pricing management, IT cost management. Because when you know that this is my IT cost is going to happen because I can integrate my FI module, my SSC, wherein I can pull the actual information, my budgeted data. I can integrate with my success factor to access my headcount plans. Then I can predict my IT cost related information, and I can manage the same also. Product and price forecast. This can also be done product wise profitability analysis, product wise price. You can focus, right? If there is a product which is declining in sales in a particular area or region, I can take a call to reduce the price of that particular product. If I know that okay, this product is contributing 50% of my margin, I can reduce my margin now 20% to 20% to capture the market. Okay, so this particular decision you can take through SAP PAP when you know the particular product wise profitability analysis. You can run simulations, you can do tax calculations, and SAP PAPM, as we spoke, SAP PAPM is a integrated tool, so it will easily integrated with your SAP Cloud also. I mean SAP Analytics Cloud also, so you can store your results back into SAP Analytics Cloud once you perform your any of your simulation or calculations. So yeah, so this is all about SAP PAPM overview. Maybe once we got the system access, then I'll take you through the system and yeah, give you overview on the system as well. How the standard SAP solutions are being given, how many standard templates SAP has given in PAPM. And okay. Do you have any questions for me? If not, then maybe we can wrap up the call, and probably in the next session, I'll take you through the system directly.
Sure, Pradeep. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, Naveen. Is it fine? We can drop off the call.
yeah. Pradeep, thanks
Okay.
for the demo. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can stop the recording. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.